See Beneath Your Beautiful podcast is raw and intimate, sometimes funny, and always entertaining. With new episodes every Saturday, Hara explores our loves, fears, and hopes with a delicious combination of depth and lightness.
I'm Renee Jones, and I'm a counselor and coach and speaker, and I help women over 40 overcome emotional eating so they can lose the weight they want to lose and actually keep it off.
How did you find this?
Well, I discovered I was actually an emotional eater because I spent 40 years on the diet yo-yo.
Mm-hmm.
When I was about 10, I looked around at all the other girls who were mostly blonde, brunettes, and I was a redhead. And I thought, they're all skinny and I'm not. So I went home and I talked to my mother and she said, well, kind of young, but we could do a diet. So we started out on my first diet and we did pretty well for a couple of weeks. And then something happened and we got off, and then we would just keep going back and forth. And New Year's Day of 2012, I thought, I am staring down my 50th birthday. If I don't lose this now, I never will. And I had lost 10 or 15 pounds a few times, 30 pounds a couple of times. And I just thought, if I don't get this sorted now, I'm done for. And again, started out really well for a couple of weeks and then had to start again. And again, in the 1st of February, the 1st of March. And by mid-April, I actually was staring at my closet and thinking, there's nothing that will fit me. Mm-hmm. I can't even get into my fat clothes now. So I used a safety pin to keep my waistband together for the day. And I came home later and I was looking at some research and someone said emotional eating. I thought, that's it. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I came to it.
You don't remember Oprah talking about emotional eating? I learned about it back in the, 90s, probably. I don't know. I just remember her talking about emotional eating, and acknowledging that you eat emotionally doesn't solve it.
No.
So, okay, so I eat emotionally. So now what?
So what I did was I thought, okay, I know every diet. I've done them all. I even know how to cheat on every diet. Mm-hmm. So we've got to figure this out. And in the end, I hired a coach to help me stay accountable because I do really well with external accountability. Mm-hmm. And we met several times. And what was interesting was we didn't talk a whole lot about food. Mm-hmm. We talked about all the other stuff that was going on. And that helped me begin to unwind some things. The week before my 50th birthday, I hit my goal weight, mm-hmm. and I have not gone back. So I've maintained my goal for 9 years now.
I went to a nutritionist and I was expecting a diet. What should I do? Accountability, whatever. And she started writing on her whiteboard about all my traumas. And, my mom died when I was young. Brother died young. Another brother died. What else? Oh, I don't know. I was sexually abused. I mean, they just piled up. I said to her at first, I don't want to use my past. I don't want to be a victim of my history. I don't want to do that. And she said, but if you don't acknowledge it, then it's just always there. Anyway, she sent me to a trauma counselor, which I thought was so funny because I went for a diet, So is that what your coach helped you with some past traumas?
Yeah, I think it's any kind of baggage that we carry with us. Mm-hmm. It can be trauma, but it doesn't have to be.
Because anything you experience, it just depends on how you experience it.
Indeed. Whatever meaning we made out of our experiences does continue to affect us. It's almost like lancing a wound. You've got to get the infection out before it can heal. As long as the infection is there, it's just going to create more and more and more and more. Mm-hmm. So as you get rid of the infection, the traumas, the experiences, the words, maybe they didn't mean that way, but it meant something to you.
I just came upon a Facebook memory that said, I'm thinking about these memories that I have been not thinking about on purpose for 45 years. And every time I think about it, I get teary-eyed. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine how it'll get better. And of course, now I can talk about that issue with nothing because it's not this deep, dark secret that I'm holding inside. that's all my shame, just get it out to some safe place.
Mm.
And then you take away the power in it.
Yeah, it's almost like turning on the light in a dark room.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because now you can see.
So how are you helping women over 40 do this? What exactly is your method?
Well, part of it is excavating. I hope people figure out, okay, what are the layers here? What do we need to do? But I basically have a 3-part approach: your body, your baggage, and your best.
Mm.
Honestly, I lost my weight on a low fat, low calorie diet,
Mm-hmm.
but I was tired, hungry, and cranky all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years later, I was still, because I'd done so much damage to my body over those 40 years, I was still having to keep my calories fairly low. And I'm only 5'3". I mean, this little body doesn't burn a whole lot of calories in a day.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually did a metabolic test, and it said, oh, these are the foods you need in your life. These are the things I've been trying to stay away from.
Oh.
How could this be possible? And I thought, well, it's a week. I can try the food plan for a week. And I actually lost 2 pounds.
What kind of foods?
Butter, bacon, cheese sauce. I mean, balance. I tried this and I lost 2 pounds that week. I was already at my goal weight.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, this is crazy. But it put me on a path to try to figure out, okay, what works for my body.
Mm-hmm.
Some people do need more carbohydrates than others. My particular metabolism does not. Mm-hmm. So therefore, putting me on that high carbohydrate diet, no wonder it was so hard. Now I put all of my clients through the same assessment to figure out, okay, what works for you? If they want to do it, great. If they don't, that's fine too. But at least they know what works for their body. Then we go on to all the baggage and beliefs and things, and we just talk our way through them, try to figure out what's holding you back, what's stopping you, how do we move you forward, how do we get you free? And this is really the excavation, because I, dig around with little tools and things until they can stand up and shake all the dust off and walk free. Mm-hmm. And then your best is, who is your best self? And how can we get you to be that more often? Because I don't know about you, but for me, when I'm being and acting out of my best, everything's better.
Yeah.
So often the struggle is helping people remember that they can be that all the time. Doesn't have to be just pie in the sky. You can be this, but you have to choose it.
Right.
And for a while, it feels like you're wearing somebody else's shoes. They're not quite broken into you, even if they're the same size. But after a while, it will become who you are more normally. And that's when the magic happens. Because you don't have to try to be that. You just are.
Are you on a diet at this moment, or you just know what you should eat and shouldn't eat? And do you have any food freedom, or are you on a regimented something?
Well, I feel that I have freedom. I feel like I have freedom within my budget.
Okay. Oh, that's good.
So just like my financial budget, I have to pay attention, because my history is to go off the rails now and again. Mm-hmm. And just like anything else, we always have to pay attention to it.
That's really helpful.
Knowing that carbohydrates don't help me and that sugar makes me really cranky.
Yeah.
I try to avoid it. They also make me really hungry. So
yeah,
it's like, okay, that's not helping me.
Right.
That will not help me if I continue that behavior. So I'll do it sometimes, but I have lots of recipes to get the same bang for the buck without the wraparound guilt or problems, right? It's just choosing what is best for your body.
I can see that I eat emotionally without knowing what the emotion is. I just feel something and I'm going to the kitchen for something. And I'm not hungry because I wasn't hungry 5 minutes ago. How do you help with that kind of thing, or can you?
Well, what I do is I give them an acronym.
Okay.
I say, it is not hard to overcome emotional eating. We just have to get the hang of it. And hang is the acronym. Now you already know H. you are not hungry.
Right.
If you are hungry, okay, eat. Don't beat yourself up for that. Your body needs something. But if you're not hungry, then what is the attraction to food? The thing is, we've got to slow down and pay attention and do that internal search. And sometimes we have to wait until afterwards and think, okay, what was I afraid of? What was I upset about? What was causing that? Oh, I've got 6 clients today and 4 phone calls. Yeah, that makes me a little nervous. Okay. I can see there was this conflict over here. That's what's driving me to food. So what is the attraction to food? And then, what is it that you actually need? Do you need a hug? Do you need to play with the dog? Do you need a quick walk around the building? Do you need to just sit and breathe for a second and look after your heart? What is it you actually need? And then the G is go. Go get that, because that will soothe you so much more than the food ever could.
Right.
And there's no wraparound to that.
Meaning there's no guilt, no feeling afterwards of I shouldn't have and all that.
Right.
That's good. That's really good. I'm going to hang with that.
There you go.
See how that works out for me. I am getting better, but I did notice I did it the other day and I'm like, I never paused. I never had the afterwards. I was like, oh, well, I know I wasn't hungry.
And that's where you are gentle with yourself, recognizing in that moment, it's awfully hard to do because you're already wound up about something. So what can I do next time? And then you mentally walk yourself through that. Maybe make a list, other options. I actually, when I was losing my weight, I taped a pacifier to my refrigerator door and I taped it just at my height. So when I walked up, it's like, yep, that's what I'm looking for.
Oh, I like that.
Just as a mental.
Yeah.
Okay. Because in the midst of it, it's difficult to analyze and think logically.
I wonder what my husband would think with a pacifier stuck to the refrigerator door at my height. He would just lose his mind. But I think I'm going to do it.
Mine said, assuming this is therapeutic. Yes, love it is.
That's so funny. I also like that you said pacifier because I am from Miami, but I moved to the West Coast and they say binky.
Binky.
I'm like, what the hell is a binky?
In the UK, they call it a dummy.
Oh, they do? Oh, that's worse than binky. Not necessarily at this, but what are your credentials? What is your history and your education?
I have a master's degree in marriage and family counseling. I have a residency in pastoral care. And then I've been trained in various models of care, both contemporary and traditional. So lots of training in there and ongoing, because I think, you never quite get it all. There's a personality profile that I have used for years. I know it and it informs me. I know that, okay, this is a person that is not going to be, they're not going to be so comfortable talking about feelings, or this is a person that's all they're going to want to talk about. And there are, various traits that you can work with, and it helps to know what helps them. So I don't accidentally stir things up in a way that's not helpful. I recently realized, you know what? I need to know more about this. So I'll be doing some training on that in the spring, just to keep me current.
Yeah. And so you've kept your weight off for 9 years, you said?
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes.
Because 2 years ago, I had lost 60 pounds and I have gained 60 pounds.
Happens so easily, doesn't it?
I know. It feels like it, although I see myself like in a movie where it's time lapsed and I can see myself walking back and forth down my hall and I can notice I'm getting heavier over time and thinking about it and still just not doing anything about it. So it's so interesting because it really plays like a movie in my head. I can see it like a movie, see myself getting heavier and heavier and heavier and not being able to put a stop to it.
Let's not forget that the world has been through a major trauma in the last 18 months.
Yeah.
And that has affected many.
So this last 6 months of coaching has been really great because I have reconnected with the love for myself 100% authentically, genuinely in this body which feels so good that I don't have to be 60 pounds lighter to love myself, that I am me in a different shape. And because I'm there mentally, I am able now to do something about it. It's so interesting how you so down on yourself and you're just in a spiral.
Yes. And those spirals can get way out of control and do so much damage. And if we can just stop them.
Yeah.
And string together a day or two of doing well.
Yeah.
Then it gives us a platform on which to launch ourselves into doing more and more.
It's so interesting how it plays such a role in our lives.
It does. And culture. The culture doesn't support, they say they give lip service to health and to being at a healthy weight.
Mm-hmm.
But everything around us, I mean, there's food on every corner.
Yeah.
The restaurant portions are crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I understand how we got there, but it's not helpful and it doesn't support being careful. I remember trying to coordinate an activity where I wanted people to gather in one place and just have a conversation for the evening. And someone said, well, what are we going to feed them? I said, why do we need food? They won't come unless there's food. I thought, why?
Mm-hmm.
Think about any major event. If it doesn't have food attached to it, we don't get excited.
Yeah. I was on some diet and I'm trying to remember which one. I guess it doesn't even matter. But somebody posted in one of the groups, well, I go visit, I can't remember if it was jail or a home or whatever, but I can't eat for this many hours. What do I do? Wow, I thought, don't eat for that many hours. How hard is that? But we're so frightened of there's no food. What am I going to do? What if I get hungry? What if? How do I feed this whatever this is? That's why I'm so interested to talk to you, because it's an emotional freak out. It's not hunger.
No.
I mean, sometimes I get low blood sugar and I'm sweating and I need food.
Yeah.
But I would say mostly I'm not eating out of hunger.
Again, going back to what food works for your body. I used to need to eat every 3 hours or I'd be hungry for an extra hour because my body processed what I was eating so fast that it was gone. So once I started putting more protein in my diet and fewer carbohydrates, my body slowed down and it doesn't digest that.
Been told that so many times. So what is the test that you do? Is it a blood test? I mean, or send them to do?
It's actually a series of questions that we do. It's a software program that I have, and it spits out, this is your sympathetic, parasympathetic, all of that kind of thing. And then it gives you a color-coded food chart of the foods that are best for your body, and then a meal plan.
Oh, how long does that take?
It usually takes about an hour to go through the questions, and there are very odd questions. I mean, there are the standard questions of, it gives you a multiple choice. This food makes me feel this. This is satisfying. This is not, that sort of thing. But there are also some odd ones, like the size of your pupil in relation to your iris. I'm not a scientist. I do not understand how this works, but I know how to type in the answers. It does it for me.
You have enough people to say that it does work?
It's really helpful. It's a great metabolic breakthrough. It's certainly changed my life because I no longer was hungry all the time. Certainly wasn't cranky. My husband was so very grateful. God love him.
That's funny.
It balanced things for me.
Yeah.
So that I can go 6 hours without starving. I'll say, okay, I'm hungry now, but it's not, I'm going to eat the house kind of hunger.
Right.
Like I used to keep a snack in my car for the way home from one of the hospitals because it had been hours and I knew I'd be hungry and I didn't want to eat the house when I got home. I wanted to have a sensible dinner. So I don't have to do that anymore, which tells me that wasn't working for me.
Right. That's all it is, right? That some things work for you and some things don't.
Right.
Well, I think that even about, when a boy doesn't like you or something, you're just not right for each other. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you.
Yes. And isn't that a revelation?
That's interesting to think about that in terms of food, that some things match with my body type.
Well, think about it. We all have individual fingerprints. There are
Yeah.
no two fingerprints in the world that are alike. Why would we think anything else was alike?
I just saw yesterday that your tongue is also like a fingerprint. You have the only tongue that you have.
Wow, didn't know that. So if we're that individual on things that we don't notice a whole lot about,
Mm-hmm.
why would not our digestion, metabolism, and all of that be just as unique?
Totally makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how much does all this cost? Can somebody just do the first part with you? Just get the test?
Yeah, we've done that. I just ran a special on them. So they were a lot less, but they normally run at $4.99.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, you get the test, the hour with me, and then a follow up a week or two later to see how you're doing and how that's helpful.
Oh, nice.
But if they're in my coaching package, it comes part of
Comes
it.
with it. Yeah. And then how long is somebody usually coaching with you?
I used to run a 3-month one,
Mm-hmm.
but I found that with a lot of people, somewhere between month 4 and 5, something clicks. So we start out with like an every other week session, and then for 3 months, and then 4, 5, and 6, we do 1, maybe 2 half-hour sessions, more of accountability. But yeah, it runs 6 months.
What is a common thread among us women that eat emotionally? Is there one that you've noticed?
Yes.
What is that?
We have a pandemic of low self-esteem and just questioning value.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I can help them recognize the value they bring, it makes it so much easier, because then they'll fight for themselves a little more.
Right.
Because it's often when we're feeling like we're useless and nobody loves us and all that, that we think, well, at least chocolate's always there for me.
Yeah. It's a passion of mine that we all live to our fullest and not waste a precious moment. And yet I've been guilty of wasting precious moments because I'm overweight.
Haven't we all?
I'm happy that at this weight, I have found the love for myself again, because I always think how I love my children.
Yeah.
I mean, they could be whatever. They could, I think, be murderers. And I would
You
still love them.
Yeah.
I don't want them going out murdering people, but I'm just saying that I deserve that kind of love as well.
Yes. From you. I spend a lot of time building people up.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll get in a mood and my husband's like, what were you telling so-and-so earlier? Yes, love.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's just part of the human condition, isn't it? We've got it down, and then we kind of lose a little bit because of all the other noise and situations. But as long as we keep coming back to that. In fact, one of the things that I do when I started coaching with this coach of mine was I started setting alarms, because I was rather cynical. And I had just learned, because I was not born with a cell phone in my hand, that you could change alarm to something else. You could
the
choose.
sound.
No. The word, the label. You know, where it goes off and it says alarm. You can change that. That's called the label, and you change it. So I changed it to something that I needed to learn or hold on to.
Like a sentence or?
Yeah. So I have these alarms that go off throughout the day to remind me of what I want to know, believe, learn, that sort of thing. And it's initially, I would look at it as sort of like affirmations. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Please. But after a couple of months, it started getting in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And now I change them regularly just to whatever I need.
I like that. That's so cool. I didn't know that either. And I'm kind of tech savvy. So now I'm going to check my alarms.
There you go.
What's one say?
Well, one that goes off at 6 a.m. when I'm out walking the dog is walk in light of the vision.
What does that mean?
Well, I have a vision for my life and my work. Mm-hmm. But if I don't walk in that vision, it ain't going to happen.
That's awesome.
Even if your phone is on silent, they go off. Mm-hmm. You cannot ignore them. Mm-hmm. You have to look at it to hit the stop button. Because if you don't, it will just snooze for 9 minutes and start again.
Which might be what you need. Another reminder. Did I see that you have a book?
I do.
What's the name of your book?
It's called What's Really Eating You? And the subtitle is Overcoming the Triggers of Comfort Eating.
Oh, cool. And can you get that anywhere? Can you just go online and buy that?
Amazon's easiest, but yeah, you can get it through any bookstore. I also have a TEDx talk.
Oh, right. I meant to watch that and I didn't.
Go ahead and do it. Give me another number. Yay.
Oh, I will. I will definitely. I'll watch it. I meant to. I worked out this morning and I have weird helmet hair. I've been doing this Supernatural. It's a VR headset. It's a VR workout.
Oh, yeah.
I am 100% in.
Wow.
I love it so much. I am finally moving my body in a way that's fun and like a game. Anyway, I'm like, I got to stop. I have a podcast to do, but
I can imagine that would, because you've got that thing on, you can't really see.
See what?
So what I'm thinking is that could actually free you to be more into it because you can't see.
100%. 100% because I have videoed myself to see what I look like. And I'm like, damn, I was a warrior Amazon princess in my head.
Yeah.
And I look like me pretty much out of the headset. No rhythm, a little bit flailing, but I am strong. Actually, it has really helped my self-confidence. I feel strong and powerful and beautiful and tall. And I was saying, I haven't lost any weight, but I feel light.
Ah, priceless.
It's just been great for me. Yeah.
What I often say is exercise is fantastic. It's very important, but weight loss is at least 70% nutrition.
I totally agree because when I lost the 60 pounds, I wasn't working out at all. I mean, it was completely diet, what worked for my body. And so,
yeah.
Well, that's so cool. So how do people find you?
I have a website, packyourownbag.com. And also on social media like Instagram and Facebook. I have a YouTube channel, Pack Your Own Bag.
And does that reference eating what's good for you, like taking with you what you need? Is that what that
Pack Your Own Bag?
Mm-hmm.
I might have been getting a little too creative here, but I believe that as we come up through life, our baggage kind of gets packed for us.
Oh, I see. Yes, that's brilliant, really.
And sometimes we have to unpack some things, get rid of some things that aren't helping us so that we can pack for the journey we want to be on rather than the one we fell into.
I really like that.
Just like all of the pieces of paper and gimme pens and things that you collect and throw in your bag to take home, just chuck it out. Chuck it out. It's not useful. It's just old stuff. And why would you want to drag that with you a bit longer?
Right.
And that's where the gremlins lie, because we're not looking at it.
Yeah, it's unpacking it. Right. And like I said, like the scary memory.
Yeah.
And then it's just not so scary anymore when you look at it. It's not as scary as you think. Even if it is scary, it's not as scary as you think. That's what I think.
Because you're looking at it as an adult now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, I often have clients select a pillow or a teddy bear and talk to it as if it is you at whatever age. Because then you've got it kind of outside yourself and you can think about it and you can think, as an adult, what would I do with little Hara?
Right.
How would I help her? Because you are the adult now and you do still need to look after her because that's your heart, right?
Yeah.
But you have so much more knowledge about how to do it now than you did when that was going on.
One of the things that I really loved about this last coach was we would go back to little Hara and, normally in the past I've heard, you have to parent that little girl. Well, one thing she said, you can just sit beside her and let her know that you understand how she's feeling.
Yeah.
And that really worked for me because part of me is still that little girl and doesn't know how to parent her, but I can be there for her. I can just comfort her and she's safe.
And that may be all she needs to know is that she's safe and not alone.
Exactly. Right. In a house full of 6 kids, it's so weird that I felt alone. There was no alone. There was nothing alone about it, but I felt very alone.
You didn't feel physically alone, but emotionally you felt alone.
Yeah, I did.
when we have something that is emotional around us, it's better to go ahead and face it rather than stuffing it down and following it with a food chaser.
Mm-hmm.
Because the more we stuff emotional material, the more it begins to fester. And if we'll just go ahead and face our stuff, then we no longer need to stuff our faces.